We're back. This time we're taking a look at another Wave 24 ship. This time it's the I.R.W. Algeron. About time the Romulans finally got their D7. Kind of mixed feelings about it. I'll get into that as we go on, but we'll get right in and take a look. There's our Romulan D7. Pretty standard maneuver. I think all the D7s had the same thing. Nice to see the 2 and 3 hard turns are not red, which is really cool. Got that 3 come about in there. Pretty same thing we've seen all along though. Nothing new there. Here we have our named I.R.W. Algeron. 3 attack, 1 agility, 3 hull, 2 shield. 1 tech, 1 weapon, and 1 crew upgrade for 18 points. Evasive, target lock, cloak, and sensor echo. And our named abilities: when attacking with your primary weapon, if your ship's not cloaked during the declare target step, you may perform a 1 forward additional maneuver before choosing an enemy ship to attack. An interesting ability. If you're just shy of that range 1 to get that bonus, you do that 1 forward to try to inch yourself up into range. Not a spectacular ability, but useful in certain situations. Overall, the ship's pretty fragile, but then again, it was TOS era ships, so you really can't compare them to the newer stuff. Low points cost is nice. It lets you field a swarm of these. You can have several of them in a fleet. Ups their effectiveness. They're a little bit weaker per ship, but then you have more ships for them to deal with, more targets for them to have to keep in mind and fight against. Here we have our generic D7. Again, you lose 1 shield as normal. You're losing your 1 tech upgrade for 16 points. Pretty standard as far as the D7s go. For captains, we have Libyana Sharvanik. I think I might have actually said that right for once. Captain skill of 5, 1 elite talent for 3 points. As an action, if your ship has a cloak action on its action bar, place a cloak token beside your ship, then immediately perform an action from your action bar as a free action. So basically you pretty much always cloak, and you can take another action. It's pretty nice, I think. And lets you keep the ship cloaked so you can keep those defensive dice up. And still take normal actions, which is really nice. She's also an admiral. Not sure as effective as an admiral with that ability. It's kind of neat as a fleet action. Lets you use it on other ships, but I don't know. I'm not sure she's the best choice. There are some other better options, I think, out there for an admiral. But plus 1 to your captain skill is not too bad. And if you have the room for her, you could always throw her on there, and in addition to some other admirals as well. Next we have Tal. Captain skill of 3 for 2 points. If your ship is not cloaked, you may perform a battle stations as your standard action, even if the battle station action is not on your ship's action bar. You can not perform any free actions during the round in which you use this ability. Interesting idea. It's a way to give battle stations to a ship that normally couldn't have it. It does take the place of your normal action, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's pretty much one of the only ways Romulans can get battle stations that I can think of. So, interesting there as an option. Then we have our generic Romulan captain. Captain skill of 1 for 0 points. For elite talents, we have command pod, 4 points. When defending during the compare results step, you may discard to cancel any 1 die result. This upgrade can only be fielded by a captain assigned to a D7-class ship. Kind of an oddball one. The additional restriction of only being on a D7 ship really hurts it. It's already 4 points for a 1-use discard that can cancel any 1 die result. So there's lots of different uses for that. Most notably, probably stopping yourself from taking a crit in an inopportune time. But it just seems very overcosted for the limitations. A lower points cost or removal of the restriction, limiting it to only this ship, might make it more useful. But I think there's better things out there to spend the points on. Next we have Cloaked Attack. 5 points. When attacking with your primary weapon during the roll attack dice step, you may discard this card to spend your cloak token to gain +2 attack dice. Now you got to keep in mind with this, you're spending the cloak token, which means you don't flip it as normal. Normally you would flip it over, you'd gain the effects till the end of the turn, and then it would go away. By spending the token, you're removing that cloak token, so you're completely open with your shields down for the rest of the turn. +2 attack dice is nice, but in order to make use of this and not get yourself blown out of the sky, you have to make sure that you're not within someone else's fire arc who's going to return fire and just blow you up. Or if you're going to die anyway, say you're pretty beat up already, the next hit's probably going to kill you, you could probably use this and off chance that you can deal as much damage as possible to the person shooting at you before they get that final blow in. Either way, though, it's a last-ditch effort in a certain situation. A nice upgrade, but 5-point discard is one of those things where I always complain about a lot. Everybody who's watched my videos knows that. But at the same time, +2 attack dice. Normally, stats like that are worth about 2 points apiece if you figure them in. So you're getting what you're paying for pretty much in the end. You just have to watch that penalty of leaving yourself open. For crew, and I hate the way they worded these, we have a Romulan Technical Officer. Not to be confused with Romulan Tactical Officer, which is a completely different card. He's 2 points. As an action, disable this card to place a scan token beside your ship. You cannot perform a scan action this round as a free action. This upgrade can only be purchased for a Romulan ship. No ship can be equipped with more than one Romulan Technical Officer upgrade. To disable to give yourself a scan, most of the Romulan ships, if not all of them, don't have scan as an option. So it gives you that as an option. If you have something that lets you perform other free actions as well, that way it's not costing you your only action for the turn. It's useful against minefields or certain situations where you may want that scan token to trigger some other effect. But at the same time, if you're just using it to get the basic scan, which lowers somebody's defense roll by 1, I think you'd almost always be better off taking something like Target Lock to re-roll your dice and make them hit more than making them roll 1 less die. In very, very limited situations, though, I can see where it would be useful. Just think there's better options to use in place of him if you have the points. For weapon upgrade, we have Plasma Torpedoes. 3 points, attack value of 4, range 1 to 2. Spend a target lock and place 3 time tokens on the card to perform the attack. You may re-roll all of your blank results once. Pretty standard for Plasma Torpedoes. It can be fired from a front or rear arc. Basic standard Plasma Torpedoes for the new time token mechanic. Guess it's not new anymore, but it is what it is. And finally, for tech upgrades, we have Impulse Drive. 2 points. You may disable this card to perform a white maneuver if there's an auxiliary power token beside your ship. If you do so, you must still skip your perform action step. No ship can be equipped with more than 1 Impulse Drive. I'm guessing by the wording on this that it gives you an additional white maneuver. It's very vague and confusing because there's nothing preventing you from performing a normal white maneuver while you have an auxiliary power token. You have to perform a green maneuver in order to clear your auxiliary power token, but nothing stops you from taking a white maneuver while you have an auxiliary power token. So the only way this makes any sense is if it's an additional white maneuver, but it doesn't say that. So I'm not sure what to tell you on that one. Guess look for an errata or rewording of it at some point, but that's the only thing I can read the way it's worded that would make sense. So I'm at a loss on that one. Good luck. For the rest of our expansion, we have our 3 time tokens and the additional rules card that go with the Plasma Torpedoes. We have an additional rules card, the Fleet Action, and the Admiral token that go with our Admiral. We have a Cloak token and a Battle Station token, and that's pretty much it for tokens. No shields, none of that stuff. They've been cutting back on those for a while now, so it's not surprising. They pretty much use what they have to fill in 1 sheet's worth, and that's it. The mission for this one is steal the cloaking device. It's Federation versus Romulan. on a slightly bigger board than normal too. It's a 36 by 60. And you have 90 points of Romulans with exactly 3 Romulan ships, one of which must be a D7. None of them can have a hull value greater than 3. And none of them can cloak, even if they have the ability. The Federation player gets 30 squad points that can include one and only one Federation ship, must have a hull value of 4 or less, and must have 1 upgrade slot unfulfilled. You're basically flying to a certain point, and you're going to steal a cloaking device. And then, oh, you've already stolen it. And at the end of each round, you're going to put a mission token on your ship. It represents your attempts to install. During the activation phase, you can roll 1 attack die for each mission token on your ship card. If you roll at least 1 hit, you have successfully installed the cloaking device and now have cloak and sensor echo actions. If you roll only hit results, then it's a free action to cloak. No ship can have anything that will let you remove it from play. The Romulan player's goal is to destroy the Federation ship. The Federation ship goal is to get out through the north edge of the battlefield with the cloaking device successfully installed. So you have to fly around until you get it installed before you can go. Kind of an interesting and thematic battle. Not a huge fan of TOS era stuff, but that one sounds like it could be fun. The model here is where my enthusiasm for this pack just kind of falls flat. This was the Romulan D7, was their chance to introduce the smooth frame, which couldn't be that hard to make a mold, a new mold with the smooth edges and without the Klingon paneling and things. Pretty much that's a Katinga class. It's not a D7. The argument came up several times when the Klingon ships were released and they used these for D7s. But it's even more apparent now with their lack of even trying on the fact that your Romulan D7 ship has a Klingon marking, plain as day, on the bottom. Granted, the Romulans did get theirs from the Klingons, so I guess you could argue that, but this was their chance to make the nice, smooth-bodied ship that's even on all the cards for the expansion. The plastic they molded it in is actually the perfect color as well. Had they not put all this extra paneling and things on here and the gold highlights and left it just the base color. Very disappointing that they finally had an option to correct the D7 model. They did, however, after all this time, they've managed to keep the bridge on correctly, and it does have the torpedo launcher on the front that was missing from some of the early models, but other than that, they managed to get the nacelles on the correct way this time. So it does have a couple positive aspects, but overall, it's a Klingon ship. It's not the D7. It's definitely not the Romulan D7. There we have our base for the named version of the ship. 90-degree front arc, no rear arc. I don't think any of the D7s are, so that's not really a surprise. And there's our generic D7 class. Front arc, no rear arc. Overall, it's a pretty mediocre pack. I'm not a huge fan of TOS error stuff, so I'm a little biased when it comes to that. Things are pretty weak in that timeline, so in retrospect it may be good as compared to those, but compared to Attack Wing as a whole, it seems a little weak. Definitely can make use of swarms of them with its low points cost. You throw a 2-point captain on there on the named version of the ship, you have an 18-point ship plus the captain. I mean, you could run 4 or 5 of these easily if you strip them down and do some interesting things with multiple ships. I think you're still better off picking slightly more powerful ships, though, and putting a few things on them. In overall survivability and effectiveness, I just think that's more of a way to go. There's nothing in this pack that stands out as an absolute must-have. Libiana's kind of interesting, but other than her, the rest of the cards are just kind of meh. Impulse Drive, as it's worded on the card, makes no sense whatsoever. So maybe they've already corrected that. I'm just behind on things, but as written, completely a useless card. So I'm not sure how that's going to work there when they fix that. And again, I'm very disappointed in their lack of effort on the model. that they didn't even try to make the Romulan D7. Despite the fact that they show the correct ship on all the cards, the model looks nothing like the ship in the cards other than the base shape of the ship itself. So if you're a Romulan player, you're going to want one for completeness, just to have a D7, because we've been trying to get a Romulan D7 since the game started. If you're a collector, you're going to want one for your collection. Anybody else, there's nothing in here that's a must-have, got to get the pack to get. Even Libiana, her captain skills mildly low to really be all that effective. Would have liked to have seen her with a 7 or so, but then again her cost would have been a little bit more. 5 is still playable, so that's probably the biggest aspect in here if you're looking for a card that you really want to get out of it. And maybe the Cloaked Attack in specific certain situations, but overall it's a pretty middle of the road, nothing to get your excitement up about pack, which is okay to have a few of those now and then. The Romulans already have some really powerful ships out there, so it's not a huge loss to them. Just, I think we were all expecting more out of it, and I hate to end on a bad note, but anyway, that's it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.